I want to talk about you've been against, like both of us have. We've competed against pretty much some of the absolute greatest strongmen. You know, the modern standard has been ridiculous. Who would you say out of everyone is your greatest rivalry? I've got an idea of who I would choose, but I want to hear your thoughts.
Well, the greatest rivalry is hands down Zydrunas. It has to be. I mean, it's no other competitor drove me like he did, was such a good rival for me in so many ways. And, you know, it seemed like this battle would happen at the Arnold, it would happen at World's Strongest Man, and it was such a back and forth, you know, I mean, basically from, 2009 until 2016, it was one of us that won World's Strongest Man. And then we had even one tie mixed in there, where we tied on points. And you know, it's crazy to think that happened. And, you know, it was fun. It was fun for me. It was fun to have that guy that, you know, was good in a lot of ways. He was good at things that I wasn't as good at. And then he wasn't as good at things that I was good at. And so it was a really good balance, but it was also, you know, something. He was experienced. I became more experienced going up against him, and he made me get better. And I think I made him get better. And so any good rivalry should have that component. And it was fun, man. It was a lot of fun.
Honestly, two of the greatest of all time, without question. It wasn't fun for guys like me that came second at lots of competitions to you both. But the amount of prize money Brian and Zydrunas have cost me over the years is, I don't want to add it all up.
That's the other side of the coin, for sure.
It's been great. I've loved it, honestly, being able to compete against, you know, and then, you know, there's the likes of Eddie, Thor, you know, the new guys. There's been so many incredible. Before that, Derek Poundstone, Mariusz Pudzianowski. I've been lucky enough to compete against all these people. The only person I've never been able to beat is you.
That's crazy, man.
You're the only guy I've never beaten out of all the top guys from the last sort of, you know, 15, 20 years. Brian Shaw is the only one.
Well, maybe you have to come back, man.
I know, I'm going to have to now. Maybe we'll do a masters competition in a few years or something.
Something like that. Yeah, for sure. That's crazy. That's it's fun looking back. It's fun looking back at all those guys. And I mean, I don't know about you, but for me, what I have always tried to do, and I did this playing basketball as well, is I always have tried to learn something from every competitor that I've gone up against. And it may not be a lot, it may be something small, whatever. And you know, you take Mariusz, for example, and Mariusz was, you know, a guy that his will to win was, I mean, it just was second to none. I mean, some of the things that I got to see him do behind the scenes it was just crazy. You know, he would, like, I went to one Super Series contest on Venice Beach where they had this, it was a natural stone. And, you know, some of the guys had gone to train with it. And he turned up to the contest, didn't even know what it was or how to pick it up, and was legitimately struggling to get it off the floor. And then they, you know, he tried to pick it up probably 40 times. And then they blew the whistle and he picked it up and ran with it just fine. Or the like the circus dumbbell, back then, that was like 2007. That was when that event was first coming into the sport. And I think it was like 180 pounds. So like what, a 70 some kilo circus dumbbell. So not, no, I guess it'd be a little bit more than that in kilos, but it was like 180 pounds. And he couldn't figure it out, just couldn't figure it out. And just did it again and again and again. And for most guys, that would wear them out to the point they wouldn't even be able to touch it. Yeah. And then again, he figured it out just in the warm-up time. So it's just that kind of will to win. And you know, there's other things about Mariusz that I didn't like as much, but at the same time, I took that away. I was like, you know what? I think that this guy will literally go to win, and he would rather die than quit. Yeah. You know, like he would just go to that point, and it's just, you take away, and that's just one example. I mean, there's a lot of guys that you and I both have competed with over the years that they had that tenacity. I mean, I heard that about Yoko Hola, kind of that same thing. It was like, he would never quit. You could have him down in a contest and he just would keep coming and coming and coming. And so it's like, you learn those different things about different guys. And it's such an interesting thing, but at the same time, I really tried to take it to heart. So, I tried to learn something from everybody. If I, watched you pick up a yoke and you did something a little bit different, I was very perceptive on exactly what a guy was doing and how he was doing it. And if it helped him in some way, I would take that and then go back to training and say, like,
it's all about taking little things from different people and figuring out what works best for you as an individual.
That's it. That's exactly.
That's something I've seen over the years. I think too many people think there's only one way to do something as well.
You can't. Everybody, that's the problem. Everybody's built different.
Yeah.
And that's just the truth. So your levers are different. So you can't watch somebody that's built different than you try to deadlift or try to press or whatever. You are going to have to modify it some way for you, just because everybody's, been given a different body. And that's just the truth. Now you can get stronger, but you can't necessarily change how long your bones are, or, how, if your back's a little bit longer, your legs a little bit longer, whatever, how long your arms are, things like that. So, but that's what makes strongman fun too, because getting better. And I always loved this part of it, was getting better at events that didn't come as naturally to me.
Yeah.
That was always, because, some events I just naturally was like, man, I just go in and grab that the first time, it feels perfect. And there was other things that it felt horrible. And it was like, I had to almost reprogram my brain to say, instead of avoiding that, I'm going to do it all the time, because I have to have it in my arsenal. If it turns up at a contest, I have to be able to do it. And I think too many competitors now, especially, they don't want to show their weakness, or they don't want to show their vulnerability in training, especially if they train with a group. So they'll train the events they're good at and that they like, and they will leave alone the events that they're not good at or that they struggle with. And it should be the opposite. If you really want to be well-rounded, you have to work on the stuff you're not as good at, and you have to work on it with passion and get better at it. And it's winning strongman contests. You can be incredible at one or two events. And if you get those in that contest, yes, you might beat everybody at those events. But if you turn around and get, toward the bottom of the pack or finish last on another event because you're not willing to work on it, most likely you're not going to win the event overall, the whole contest, right? And so when it comes, and that's kind of how my brain worked as far as winning titles, it was like, yeah, I could excel at this, I could excel at that. And maybe you could chase a record, but in all fairness, with strongman, when you talk about it, I know we kind of touched on that earlier with the records. The problem is all the implements are always different. I mean, The only thing that, and even with the deadlift, and we're not going to go off on that kind of tangent with the deadlift, but you and I both know that deadlift records in strongman used to be set on whatever setup was there.
Yeah.
And whether it was a tire or it was a big metal wheel or whatever, and that was the deadlift record. That's just what it was. And
could
then
be a different bar in every competition,
100%. And it was just like, that was the most weight that had been picked up. And then all of a sudden it came to, we need to go with this kind of bar and these calibrated plates, and it has to be this. And it's like, I understand from a standardization point how that makes kind of sense, and you can compare apples to apples, so to speak. But we kind of went down that rabbit hole.
It becomes too confusing, doesn't it now?
Exactly.
Like now, every time a deadlift's done, well, I saw him do 528 kilos on this bar. Well, why is 500 kilos the record? Or, it does get really confusing. You've got to try and explain to everyone there's a Hummer deadlift record, an elephant bar deadlift record, an 18-inch deadlift record.
Speaking about that, that's why records to me, they don't mean as much, and especially in the sport of strongman, it's like, well, yeah, I could go back and probably have a whole list of what would be considered records, I guess. And, there are, and I'm proud of those achievements, but I'm more proud of winning the event and then trying to win the whole contest. So, it kind of took away, and that's how my brain worked, at least. Now, some people are opposite of that, and fair play to them. if they want to go after one specific thing and be the best at that one specific thing, that's awesome. That's good. But, you know, at the end of the day, records always can get broken, but titles don't go away.
While you're here, guys, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my awesome strength content.